Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Ryan. That's Shanae.
Hi.
And that's Tom.
Good morning.
Every week we get together and we talk about video games and things of that nature.
Why are you talking like that?
I thought I'd try a new voice.
All right.
How are you, Tom?
I'm really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not a little bit sleepy?
A little bit, but overall, I'm pretty good. So, are we doing like what we've been doing or what?
Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out, Tom.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Who is that?
It's a really good game.
Okay.
I got the platinum.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's really fun. Movement's great. A lot of characters in there and plot points that you would not expect to be there. Like lesser-known Spider-Man people, and it's really fun.
Is Doppelganger there?
Doppelganger's not there, no. So play that.
Is the lizard there?
No. No.
Okay.
Dr. Connors? No, he's not there.
Who is that vampire who sucks you through his hands?
I don't know.
Oh.
Shanae?
I don't know.
Hand vampire?
No, I mean that sounds like my thing, but I don't. The only like Spider-Man comics I ever really read was like Spider Island,
Yeah.
and I just also I'm not really like well versed when it comes to Marvel, except for certain times and plot points when it comes to X-Men.
Sure. Either way, it's a really fun game. I don't think it's like you need to play this game or anything, but it is very fun. I will continue on with the DLC and all that stuff.
We played like 3 Spider-Man games last night.
We did?
Would you say that the newest Spider-Man game is the best Spider-Man game?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah.
Been playing that Tetris Effect demo, so I've got the game on pre-order. That's out in a few days. And man, I love that game. It's so good.
Tom, tell them what you did today.
Today I got a Decahexatrus, which is a 16-line clear or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really happy to do that because I've been trying since the demo came out to do it and I haven't been able to.
But you did it.
I was in the top 2% for that game, but now more and more people are playing it, so it dropped me down a bit.
As of a day or two ago, you were.
Yeah.
So I mean.
So that was cool to say.
I count for something.
Yeah.
What are you in now?
I don't know. I mean,
Top 10%?
I haven't looked at the total number of players, but it has more than doubled.
How many pro players do you think are playing it right now?
A lot.
I don't think a lot. So when we talk about professional Tetris, there's different types of Tetris, right? But as far as professional Tetris goes, the two you see the most often is classic Tetris, which is NES Tetris. There are some players that are playing Tengen Tetris, but not very many. And then there's a fucking Tetris the Grandmaster scene, which is a very different type of game. Grandmaster players might be playing it, but it's probably a bit too slow for them. Classic players might be playing it, but it's probably a bit too fast for them. It's somewhere in between. That said, like, what Mizuguchi is trying to get across with this game is like Tetris, while it can be competitive and there are competitive aspects in this game, it can also be like just for fun and just to relax.
It's a relaxing game.
And I like that a lot. It's really good. I plan to do a pretty big video on it sometime after the game releases.
Yeah.
And that's really it as far as what I've really been playing.
Tom, remember, Tom. Well, I'll say that for my segment. Shanae, what have you been getting up to?
Just been playing the Switch really.
What did you play on that?
Pool Panic.
What is that again? Is that the game with the sentient balls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was playing at a lot of places that didn't have Wi-Fi or a very, very weak Wi-Fi signal. So all the games I had to really play were the ones I already had, like either a physical copy of or a couple ones that were under my account because the ones I tried to play under Tommy, like it was trying to like verify it and it couldn't.
Are you talking about
Really?
when you
Yeah.
traveled to the Renaissance?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi wasn't so great back
You
then.
need the online to verify. I got it.
Yeah, so I couldn't do that, so I just played a lot of Odyssey again. And then still Pokemon going, and then really that's about it.
Was there any Pokemon to catch at the Renaissance?
There was, but like also, I mean, the signal's better than it's ever been since I've been there.
Okay.
But it still wasn't like the
Good.
best. Like so, I played a little bit of Pokemon, and I was able to catch a couple, but also like, um, it was just a really busy weekend, and it's
Yeah.
like hard to play it in such a crowded space to where like I don't feel like an asshole for looking at my phone while walking because I'm
Yeah.
like walking into people, and
Yeah.
also people are trying to get from places, and then also I'm like there to enjoy the show and like hang out with like Berta's
King Arthur.
coworkers and stuff.
So look, I don't know a lot about Pokemon. I know that you were gone, so you may not have seen this, but Incineroar in Smash Brothers looks fucking awesome.
I have not seen it.
What is Incineroar?
So every Smash Brothers they add at least one Pokemon, and this is the one that they've added for this game.
Okay.
And he's some fire Pokemon, but he does a bunch of really cool wrestling moves.
That sounds cool. That sounds
Yeah.
right up my alley.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna play. I brought my Switch specifically because one of Berto's coworkers was like, "Oh, I have Mario Party and we can all play it."
Was that true?
They did bring that and we could play it.
Yeah.
All of that is true. We did not because everyone got too drunk.
Well, that sounds like the perfect conditions for Mario Party.
Yeah.
It was just so like you have just like because it's like a company event thing, and even though
I
there's like
see.
drinking and all that going on, the owners still wanted like everyone to be in the same room and hang out.
Oh.
So by the time, which was like 11, everyone was like could like really leave or like and then not get mad about people hanging out in like a room or something.
Yeah.
Everyone was too drunk and tired, and then also like we knew that we had to be up and on the bus and like in our costumes and everything by like 8:30 a.m. in the morning. So it's like also you need to get some sleep before because we are there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So so it's a lot of like walking and things to do and stuff like that. And like past years we stayed up super late, and it's just kind of the first couple hours there are miserable.
Shanae, what was your costume?
So me and Berto have like kind of our versions of like a medieval Jedi and a medieval Sith,
Okay.
and bring our lightsabers with us. And we have like scabbards and stuff. Not scabbards. We have like sword holders and stuff like that are.
Like
That
a
we,
sheath.
so it's just like a holder. So it's like it's like a strap in the top. Where it like has the leather part to tie to a handle in the bottom, like to hold onto it. Or if you have a sheath, you can put it through. Or but we just do the like. But obviously our lightsabers don't have sheaths, and it's good and it's pretty nice because like once it gets darker, we will turn them on, and like whoever's like looking for us, or if, like we're in a group and they're like trying to find the group, it makes it a lot easier to see.
Yeah.
Look for the Jedi.
Well, just look for the glowing lights.
Yeah. Which one are you? Are you the Jedi? Or the
Oh yeah, I'm
Sith?
the Jedi.
Okay. What's your Jedi name?
I don't have a Jedi name.
Oh, is
My
it?
Jedi name's Shanae.
Your Jedi name now is Plo Koon.
No,
Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
no.
Shanae, I have some news for you.
Mhm.
So we are now in possession of a copy of RPG Maker MV. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, MV.
Okay.
Nice.
So we can make our own role-playing game.
We're finally doing it.
Yeah.
We're finally making the save continue role playing game.
Yeah, the one that we talked about all that time ago.
Nice.
It's gonna happen. What was it called? Red Bulls?
I don't know what we're gonna call it, but there's gonna be a bunch of save continue lore in there.
Yeah. So, for
Dave Fenoy has joined your party.
yeah, he will remember that. So yeah,
And then have me voice Dave Fenoy's character. Give him the worst voice actor.
I did an impression
Just
of you
as an
last
assault.
night.
Oh, nice. Can I hear it?
If you want to hear, I don't think you'd care for it though.
I mean, why would it not be flattering? You love me so much. Why would I not like it?
It's just the way my brain interprets the sound of your voice, and it might not be. I did a few impressions last night. I did
I just
you.
want to hear mine.
I did Morgan Freeman.
Uncle Charles.
I didn't really do Uncle Charles. I talked him a lot because I don't actually know what Uncle Charles sounds like.
When me and Tom were outside, I was telling him about how last night we were watching The Dark Knight on and stuff like that, and I annoyed Berto by repeatedly saying, "You ought to know You bought it.
Also, Shanae, so you missed a really fun thing last night. We played this game called Hidden Agenda.
Mm-hmm. Supermassive.
By Supermassive. You might remember them from such hits as Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You ever played that?
No.
The Inpatient.
You ever played that?
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
You ever played that? Okay, so Hidden Agenda is a game which, would it be fair to call it a party game?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a party game where everybody. You ever play? You don't know Jack?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's like that where like everybody has their phone. Okay, and like so, but you gotta all instead of it being browser based like we assumed it would be, everybody's gotta download an app. What is it called? PlayLink.
Yeah.
You gotta download the PlayLink app, but the PlayLink app specifically for Hidden Agenda, and so what you're using your phone for is to vote on decisions of where the story will go, or to participate in QuickTime events.
So I was really annoyed that you had to download an app for it as opposed to going through the browser, right?
Yeah.
But what I was thinking about, at least on iOS, it solves one problem that Jackbox Party Pack has, in that when you go through the browser, without constant activity on your phone will automatically shut off.
Yeah.
Whereas with its own individual app, it does not do that.
Yeah. But so a lot of the time you're given like a lot of the choices are like dialogue based, and you're usually given 2 or 3 choices, and so you'll vote on which choice you'll go with. Usually it's a majority vote, but there are other cases where it has to be unanimous, and so let's say that people are voting in the way that you don't want them to because you want the story to go this way, then you can use what is called a takeover.
Mm-hmm.
Use a takeover and veto everyone else's votes, and only your vote matters.
Yeah.
And so you get to decide that particular thing, but they're items that you can use up, and you earn more by finding clues or being the first to complete the QuickTime event. And also throughout the story, they're like choose your friend who's the most trustworthy, and then like you'll vote like on
everybody votes. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll vote like there's cards with everybody's name on them, and you'll cast your vote with.
Was it just you two playing?
No, it was us with James and Sinead. So 4 people.
Kayla.
Or James and Kayla, yeah, 4 people.
I was like, to be fair, when we were recording this, y'all are still probably very sleep deprived.
We are, yeah.
But it was like sometimes
it was a lot of fun.
Sometimes the results of those votes would be really fun, like really unexpected.
Who's the most trustworthy?
I think we said James.
I think James won on that.
Yeah, I was like James seems like a trustworthy person.
We had like
I vote for him.
We had like who's like the coolest under pressure and stuff like that. And so what it'll say, like the reason for those votes is there's going to be a story beat where only the person who got that vote will make the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fun.
There was some irony though, because we were like, who is the most persuasive? And I think Kayla won that.
Yeah.
But then, like, when it came for her time to persuade somebody, she failed to persuade.
Yeah. But it's really fun. Like, Ryan explained the game very well, but, like, what he didn't explain is, like, unlike Until Dawn, this is more of, like, a CSI meets 7 sort of situation.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. So basically, you're playing as the role of at least a couple different people.
Yeah.
There's a detective who is trying to solve a series of murders, and then there's the DA who is trying to get to the bottom of stuff. And sometimes the paths.
Harvey Dent.
Yeah. Well, she's not exactly Harvey Dent, but she is Dent-like in her tenacity to get to the truth.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
But it's a really fun game. Voice acting's not so great.
It's not bad.
But the faces are real good. But yeah, and but we played. I was saying we played like 3 Spider-Man games last night. We played 2 of them were from the Super Nintendo. We played Maximum Carnage, and I don't remember what the other one was.
I don't either. But Spider-Man had a big butt in that one.
Yeah, because when he climbed the wall, like he would arch his back and his butt would stick out. And his every time his spider sense would go off, it would make this weird buzzing sound.
Yeah.
And I couldn't like at first I was like, what is the hell is that noise? But it was like like that.
Like a pager.
I was
Yeah.
like your phone on silent.
Yeah, yeah. But then we kind of all settled in for the night. We watched James beat Contra.
Nice.
He was getting kind of frustrated,
But he did it.
but he did it. It was a proper speed run.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask all of what y'all played because I just got back into town, so
So
I'm not up to date yet on all of what happened.
so
last
I
night.
started streaming around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I started with I played about 6 hours or so of State of Decay 2, and then I switched over to Hat in Time, and then I ended up going with Doom.
You haven't beat a Hat in Time yet?
No, there's a lot to
Wow,
it.
Sinead.
I was gonna say the game's a lot longer than I thought it was.
How long do you think it was?
I thought when we played it that you were almost done with it.
We'd only been to like 2 worlds.
Well, also it's got the whole like Mario thing, like
It's-
what is done.
It's like
Are you trying to get all the timepieces, or
Yeah.
you know, like
it's very much like Mario in that regard. And then Tom got here,
hmm.
and I don't know what we
I played Shadow of the Colossus for
started
a
the
while.
process, and then
Played Tetris Effect for a while.
yeah,
I started doing Spider-Man, but you didn't want to see spoilers, so I stopped.
I don't want to see the spoilers.
Yeah.
Then we played a lot of Super Nintendo and NES games. I was introduced to a game. What was it called? Something of the Zombie.
Zombie Nation.
Zombie Nation. It's a Nintendo NES game where you're a floating head and you're shooting stuff out of your mouth and destroying buildings. And,
Yeah, it's a horizontal scrolling shooter, but
Yeah.
it's super weird. You're just this head.
yeah,
It's strange, but it's very cool.
yeah. Tom played a little bit of Rondo of Blood. That
Yeah.
game looks real hard.
I put up a decent Donkey Kong score.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was doing that. And then it was really just a lot of at one point it was just watching. I got to the point where it was just watching James play Super Nintendo games while we laugh with our cohorts in chat.
Yeah. We made an okay amount of money for those kids.
Yeah,
We didn't hit our goal, but
they're getting that money.
they're getting a little over $300 that
Yeah.
they didn't have before, so
And I mean, and
feels good.
yeah, I was like any help and anybody who donated, thank you so much. Cause like not even just for us, but just like obviously for those kids.
Yeah.
Stephanie Melcher dipped into her Bunyan fund
Yeah.
to help us.
Aw, that's so sweet of her.
Yeah,
Her poor bunions.
yeah.
Shadow helped us out. Abs helped us out.
Yeah, Rez as
Yeah.
well.
My sister, my
Uh,
uncle,
uh,
me, Ryan.
and some other friends of ours that we have. My friend Kyle and my friend Colin both contributed.
And Kyle
And Colin.
and Colin. I won't call you Kip anymore. I know I hate that.
But yeah, we got a decent amount of change for such short notice. So
Next year we got to plan it more.
yeah, and
You know?
next the best Extra Life that we ever did had a lot of people, so that we could sleep when we needed to.
Yeah.
This year was hard because we couldn't, and
Well, that first year was basically just you and me.
yeah, so all of the stuff that we streamed was like uploaded to Twitch, and it's just there. There's one of the clips is like 10 hours long, and I'm sure near the end of the part where James is still here, because I'm sitting like this close to the camera, and I'm just kind of like sitting there like watching him and like just zoning out. And you can see in the background Tom is already asleep on the sofa,
Yeah.
and like I'm just sitting here, and there's more at least 3 times where I dozed off and almost fell out of my chair.
And you can't sleep on Twitch, so.
Yeah, we found, because Tom and I were asking, like, is it okay to sleep on a Twitch stream, like just have a stream where you're just sleeping? And you can't do that.
Yeah. Get your shit together, Twitch.
Apparently, the rules state that you have to be able to directly interact with your audience.
Also, if you're not following us on Twitch, go give us a follow because, like, we're 15 followers away from affiliate, and we meet all the other rules.
Yeah,
So,
we got a couple of followers yesterday.
a few.
Yeah.
I got emails for each one of them. So.
Yeah, We got a comment from someone who was watching us, but they only spoke in Russian,
Yeah.
and so Tom tried to translate it, but all he could get was "high of the perm."
Yeah, I don't know what of the perm is.
We're not sure what that means. It might be some kind of slang that they use over there. But all in all, it was a really good time.
Yeah, it was.
Had a lot of laughs. We came up with a couple of cereals.
Nice.
We improved upon the "Oops All Raisins" idea.
Did
Uh,
we tell you about that today?
No.
You know how Captain Crunch has oops all berries?
No,
Where
I
it's just the berry bits?
you never seen that?
Yeah.
Where it's just all crunch berries?
So we thought it'd be funny if Raisin Bran had oops all raisins, so it's just milk and raisins.
Yeah.
And we also talked about how we hate the title, like the product being called Oops All Berries. I hate, but we hate it for different reasons. Like I hate oops because like that implies they did it on accident, and Oops All Berries was intentional.
Yeah.
Ryan hates the fact that they're called berries because they're not berries.
So y'all have a couple different briefs with this.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that as far as the oops part goes, like they've been doing that for the better part of like 2 decades.
Yeah.
So like it's not an accident anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you're still saying oops every time it happens, get your shit together.
Right.
Also, Tom is talking about how apparently the people who make craisins were trying to trick him to thinking they were candy. And
Yeah.
Him specifically?
Just people in general, I feel like.
Okay. I was like.
But I was telling him that I can't remember a package of craisins that I ever saw that made it even seem like they were candy.
I don't either.
Wow. Agree to disagree.
Yeah. But
it's Halloween and you're giving away craisins. Your house is getting egged.
Oh, sure. If you give away fruit of any kind, I'd say.
Yeah.
Especially, or if you give away chocolate vegetables in it.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We this weekend also talked about that with some of Berto's coworkers.
Talk about what?
Chocolate with vegetables in it.
How y'all think that mango is a vegetable? I was like, yeah, I did a podcast.
We didn't say we were talking about you today.
Yeah. You just told on yourself.
Oh. Guilty conscience?
Y'all have mentioned multiple times that you think mango is a vegetable.
No, we just say chocolate with vegetables and you fly off the handle every time.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah. Also, because we could be talking about that chocolate with chili peppers in it. Peppers are vegetables. So.
That's true. Craisins are vegetables.
So
y'all have said multiple times that I have brought you chocolate vegetables, and I say that I have not.
Yeah.
And you bring up that instance.
Uh-oh.
And mango's not a vegetable. I just can't.
Okay.
I can't emphasize that enough.
Okay.
I can't emphasize enough that you shouldn't have done that.
Finally, so last night was the first time in a while that I can remember that we actually used the Elgato like extensively.
Yeah.
Because I remember last time we used it, we used it for like, what did we use? Did we use it just to record that Crazy Taxi?
Yeah. Anything we've done on mobile
Yeah.
or console. Yeah.
My horse boyfriend.
Yeah.
That was mobile, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
My horse prince.
So
I did Florence with it.
yeah, but now that because I wanted Tom to bring it over because I've been wanting to stream more PlayStation stuff because I've just been streaming computer stuff. Partly because, well, I'd say mostly out of convenience because all of it's just right there. But I've been wanting to stream some PlayStation stuff for a long time. I just, again, the laziness factor. But I think I'm going to be doing a lot of PlayStation stuff this week because it's about time. But we should also, I think now that we're streaming a lot more, I think people should pay more attention to what we're doing and follow us. We need 500 followers by the end of the week.
Sure.
So if you can make that happen, let's do it.
I'll sell it for 50.
I'll settle for 50 followers. Can I get a 50?
I say whoever wants to follow us, please do. And
Well, I mean, you don't
that's okay
you
too.
don't have a hat in the race. You haven't been streaming.
You got to stream.
I've been streaming with Ryan.
That doesn't count.
You get a-
Ryan did all the work for you. You just come over here and slouch.
Well, Sinead, streaming isn't that hard once you get down to it, man.
Yeah, and Brodo has all the stuff for you, so you just gotta sit there and play something.
What's Birdo's stream like? Is he as talkative?
He doesn't stream because
Oh, because he wants it to be perfect.
I've seen him stream.
He doesn't stream often, you mean, right?
Yeah.
You have not seen him stream in quite a long time.
That doesn't change the fact that I've seen him stream.
Yeah, and he stopped because we don't have Google Fiber.
He stopped because of you.
Did you say something to him?
Maybe. I had to say I want to talk to you.
I don't have Google Fiber. I don't have any stutter.
Oh, but it's not perfect.
Mm.
He's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Shanae?
There's something I want to talk to you guys about. I don't know if
Talk to me.
I don't know if y'all at all watch any of the Blizzcon stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, I didn't watch any of it, but I know most of the news that came out of it.
I watched what they would let me watch for free.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$50 to watch your stream. Get out of my face.
And I just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were on the offense that has been taken.
Offense of what?
When it
People
comes
need to calm down.
when it comes to
You're talking about Diablo?
when it comes to Diablo, but also what y'all think about the first non-Korean StarCraft winner.
I don't have
I don't
any.
really care about that.
People are offended by the fact that the winner is not Korean.
No, it's not outrage. It's just it's the first time.
With that sort of thing, I mean, it's not like, I mean, that's cool and everything, but it's not like a civil rights achievement or nothing.
Yeah, I don't keep
No, but
track
it's
of
like-
what's
but it-
going on in StarCraft.
But it's a heavily dominated
Yeah.
playing scene as far as playing styles and even just like the community and mentality around it.
So
I just think it's not necessarily like I have all the things to say about it, but I do think it's interesting.
I think good for them.
yeah,
Good job practicing and winning.
it's got to be hard.
That's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about StarCraft to have an opinion, and that I don't know anything about StarCraft except for what I like the little bit that I learned playing StarCraft 2 back in high school.
You don't craft stars.
As far as Diablo Immortal goes, I get it that people want a new proper Diablo.
It looks like Diablo to me.
But it looks fun.
Yeah.
Games like this typically do work well on mobile. If you think about the Dungeon Hunter series,
Good games.
I mean they have their issues, but they work well. They run well.
Yeah.
And they've been around for fucking years.
My only issue, the only issue that I have, what's it called, Diablo
Immortal.
The only issue that I have with Diablo Immortal is that there's no witch hunter, not witch hunter, witch doctor. That's my only issue with it. Outside of that, it looks fine. See, here's the thing, man, and this is something that we've been saying for a while. As far as mobile games are concerned, I think that people need to get off their high horse about that, because I get it. If your idea is that if you're playing a game on the phone, you're not a real gamer, whatever that means.
I don't think that's the complaint.
I don't think so either. So from my
So what am I talking about?
So the thing is, they put around leak stuff and things like that around there's gonna be Diablo news. So a lot of people got excited about remastering, adding new content to 3, or any information about 4.
But I feel like they went out of their way to say don't expect too much.
They did.
Where Diablo and other stuff is concerned.
Yeah.
So what do they want?
So with whenever I think it was Elder Scrolls Blades
Mm-hmm.
was announced with the Bethesda stuff.
Is that the phone game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It was also a version of available on PC, which BlizzCon is predominantly PC gaming community.
Okay.
That's what and so of course why would they not think that that's the case? So a lot of people did
Because they told them not to.
They did tell them not to.
And then when they were doing Q&A about it, there was a guy that very calmly and not rudely was like, "Oh, is this ever going to be on PC?" And the response from the host was, "Don't you guys have phones?"
Yeah.
Which is
question.
which you don't. I just don't think that as curators of that, definitely that comment should not have been made. And also, when the Blades came out, they did talk about that they are going to like they are going to make a new Elder Scrolls. Like this is something that's coming out in the meantime. There's no at the event itself, and later interviews they talk about future Diablo stuff, but the event itself they didn't.
Yeah, but I think that's like, we know there's going to be a new proper Diablo. Of course there is. Up until recently was the third best-selling PC game ever made.
There's what you call a full
Of course there's going to be another Diablo.
Yep.
You know? I think that the people that are upset by this are either, one, just entitled assholes,
Sure.
or two, have complaints that a lot of people have with when it comes to mobile gaming, which are complaints that I have. Are there going to be microtransactions?
Probably.
Yes.
How does this control?
Pretty good.
Things of that nature, right? But like, you haven't played it yet, you know? You don't know what the business model for it is.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is that like,
why are you complaining about it before you know?
I feel like not like, okay. I think that asking a question like, is this ever going to come to PC before you've played it and seen how the game works, is kind of a weird question to ask. Especially when you like, hey, we got this thing that we've crafted, probably specifically for this platform, and we want you guys to try it out. And
I mean, we also don't complain when there's a console game and people ask the question, is there going to be a PC version?
Well, I mean, I'm not complaining. I just think that but I think
asking that question and getting such an aggressive response back, because it was very like derivative. It was very hostile. Like as far as like, don't you guys have phones?
We actually talked about this a bit last night.
I think that they didn't handle any of the initial reaction to it well. Like I wouldn't have booed it on stage. I'm not that kind of person, and I think that those definitely are assholes. But like when a person who is just asking a question, like is like when they're like after they talk about they're doing the Q&A and they're asking a simple question, like just answer like, oh well, no it's not. Like we are wanting to really take this.
Yeah.
Have a professional answer. Be like talk about what it is. Give a better understanding.
Sure.
If someone doesn't like it but they don't know it yet, then explain it more.
Sure.
And it is a predominantly like PC community. So I mean, of course, like I don't think there's anything wrong if you go to a convention or like whatever like that is normally all PC and like and they ask questions, is this going to be on PC?
That may be a predominantly PC game community, but that's not a PC gaming convention.
It is not, yeah. But I get what you're saying, Snay. Like, the response isn't a great response, right? Like, it's not a good look, but I also don't think it's the worst thing to say.
And it's also, I think, you have to keep in mind that it is very easy to be taken aback by questions like that.
Sure.
And give a response that you don't, and respond in a way that you don't necessarily intend to. And like, and I'm speaking as someone who has never had to be out there promoting something like that and getting in front of people to talk about something like that.
But that's why there is professionals that's like doing stuff like that is their job.
Like I said, I don't think you're wrong. It wasn't the best response. That said, that the people that are upset about this, I think, like really just need to get over it and actually know what the game is before they complain about it. It could be great. Yeah, it could be garbage. It might be garbage. It doesn't look like garbage. It looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit last night about like, hey, why is this only on that platform? Why is this only on that platform? Because I was playing Tetris Effect and Adam was in chat and asked, is this coming to PC? And I said, no, it's only PlayStation 4. You know, it seems like the vast majority of gamers don't seem to understand the relationships between first-party, second-party, and third-party development with platform holders. People don't seem to understand what that is or why that happens. And oftentimes it's, hey, this developer or this hardware manufacturer helped to produce the game, right? Nintendo helped Bayonetta 2 to exist. That game would not exist without Nintendo. Why would Nintendo then allow Platinum or Sega to publish it elsewhere? With Diablo Immortal, that's obviously not the case, right? That's Blizzard's own IP, and it's not like iTunes, you know, put together some sort of second-party relationship with Blizzard. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that Diablo Immortal, if it sells half the numbers of Diablo 3, will probably be more monetarily successful than Diablo 3 was. I don't know. And like, it's a business, right? Like, Blizzard's there to make money. It's
And I feel like it's also exceedingly easy to monetize your mobile game. And that being said, though, uh, do I like I don't know enough about the game to say whether or not it will work on other platforms. I have to also say that there's probably a reason that if they are releasing it on other platforms, I don't know if they are or not, but if they are, there's probably a reason why it came to phones first. Um,
Well, think about like Genova Chin releasing Sky, right?
yeah,
And a lot of people are like bummed that it's a mobile game. Fans of Journey are bummed that it's a mobile game or whatever. And his whole idea is that he wants it to reach as many people as possible. And where do most people play games? Their
on their
phone,
phones.
right? And he's never once said it's not coming to other platforms. He said we're doing this first. Uh, you see that a lot. People complain about Nintendo's recent foray into mobile, right, with Mario Run and Miitomo and all that shit. Uh,
Utopia?
yeah, even like Regalia Lost, like all of their stuff. Um, and like a lot of those games might not be well received critically and might not seem to do well monetarily, but like all of those games have been a success.
Hmm.
Even like even the ones that nobody talks about, have been a pretty big success. So I don't know. I think it's very smart what they're doing. I really do. Yeah, you piss off people for a little bit while BlizzCon is going on, and your video has a bunch of dislikes, and you're getting a lot of mean tweets and shit like that. But guess what? Most of those people are going to download this game.
Yeah,
You know.
and I'd also be interested to see the metrics with like games like Hearthstone that are available on both platforms. Uh, like,
Oh, Hearthstone is played more on mobile than it is on PC.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, if this game does come to computers, I'd be interested to see what the metrics are there too. But like Tom said, I think that you know I think that initial disappointment over the chosen platform for this particular game is very much premature, especially with future entries in the Diablo series being a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I mean, and it's not.
There's I just don't think I personally don't think that Blizzard like handled that
I don't disagree.
reveal well. I don't think that they. I think they should.
Oh,
I think they should.
don't get me wrong, that
I think
entire
they,
conference was kind of a shit show, but
I think
I
the order
think-
could have been changed. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Don't reveal that last.
yeah,
Like you probably should have ended with Warcraft 3 remastered.
yeah, that would have
You
been a
know.
better idea.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
as
like
far as what they had on offer and what they had to announce, I thought all of it was pretty fine.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like that comment is not, probably should have worded it a bit better.
Well,
But
just don't like. I know that people are having a knee-jerk reaction to it, and it's not what you wanted.
right.
And I know that's not the case, but like you said, the order of putting things, I think, would have been extremely helpful. Like Bethesda, and then there was something with Microsoft that was a mobile game that also initially got a little bit of kickback, but then people were okay with it. I forgot what it was.
Here's a phone. I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
trying to think of it.
I think it was Gears.
like Sakurai did. Oh, the fucking Funko Pop game, the Gears Pop game.
Is it Gears? What's Gears Pop?
Gears Pop is a Gears of War mobile game that is tied in with Funko, so they all look like that.
I see.
But
Like, and people in the and like people that love those series and franchises, like, and then I think like with
What if
like
there's a
Fallout
Funko of
76,
John's
and
wife?
then of course like the Elder Scrolls Blades, like. There's ways to do that and not get the reaction that the Blizzard is getting, and
Like I said.
I don't think it is just because necessarily they're PC players. Even though I do think that of course the knee-jerk reaction from some of them is because this is what they game on, this is what they're used to. They're not used to have like Blizzard doing like mobile games. With
what I
their,
don't like about
beloved
that though is like PC Master Race people that like are heavy into Blizzard games. There are no Blizzard games that are taxing. Like none of them. These days, Overwatch can run off of your internal graphics.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking dumb.
And that's because they want to reach a lot of audiences.
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
smart.
want to, they don't want to discriminate, and that's fine. But like, I just don't think they displayed it well. I don't think they handled criticism well, and the reason that the ball keeps running and people keep making memes and jokes and stuff.
Wait, what criticism are you talking about?
Just the criticism that I have of them not handling the questions well and of and agreeing with Tom, not the order of which they discuss things.
You know what's interesting
Because they didn't like Bethesda didn't end with like with Blades and like Fallout 76 and it'd be like this is it and then leave it at that
Yeah, and so they announced games that you won't see for a decade.
Yeah, which is
you know like is that better? Too. Is it better to see a splash screen for a game you won't see for probably 8 years? You know,
which it's a really weird regression on their part.
Yeah, considering their previous conferences, right?
Yeah.
But like, I do think a lot of it has to do with, like you said, the way things are presented. Not necessarily the content of what they're presenting. If you look at like Sakurai's latest direct with Smash Brothers, right? Which I don't know if you saw because you were gone or whatever. But
I did not see.
The announcements in that were all pretty cool. But like the order of them made things seem like really not exciting. If they just switched things around and announced the same shit, it probably would have gone over a lot better. Also, I don't know how much Twitter you've been on over the last few days, but like the people that I'm seeing on Twitter that are complaining about Diablo Immortal are like just everyday assholes. And like the people that are defending what Blizzard did at BlizzCon are like respectable, high profile people. You're seeing most of the games industry come to Blizzard's defense on this.
Yeah, not really so much on Twitter, but definitely on Reddit.
Yeah.
As far as the communities there, I see a lot of people discussing and comparing, the backlash, and that's where I've gotten like a lot of the information and stuff like that, and like a lot of links and things that other look at. Comparing it to specifically Bethesda's Fallout 76 or Elder Scrolls Blades. And, just like the different receptions of that and why is this, and people trying to figure out why are people upset? And what are they upset? And what are people upset about?
Yeah.
Specifically. And
they don't know yet. They don't know what they're upset about yet.
I
mean, that's the truth, right? They don't know yet.
Well, again, because aside from because I feel like the crux of this entire thing is Diablo, right? And like the only thing that you know about Diablo Immortal is that it's a Diablo game and that it's on your phone. And outside of that, there's what is there to be upset about? And I think that this is very much a thing where regardless of what you do, you're gonna piss somebody off. So the best thing that you can do is try to make a product that you believe in and see how it goes.
Well, what's funny is this isn't the first time that Blizzard has pissed off the community in this way, and this isn't the worst of it, right? Like Diablo 3 Vanilla, tons of people hated it. Personally, I loved it better than what Diablo 3 has become, but most people didn't like it. So what did they do? They listened to their community and they changed it. Same thing with Overwatch. Every time people complain about an Overwatch character, what do? They listen and they change it, right? Blizzard is very good about trying to be good to their community. And people don't appreciate that in any way. They're just well, I hate this right now, so I'm going to bitch about it. Not thank you for what you've done in the past,
Well, I honestly think that
it's like they put a stop to battle test, right? Used to be every piece of content we give you, you're going to pay more and more and more for until towards the end of it, you can get it all for one price, right? With Diablo 3, what did they do? We got Reaper of Souls and we got the Necromancer DLC, and that was it. Everything else, all of those seasons, of which they're probably in the 30s or 40s now, has been free, But people don't appreciate that shit. They just see what they can complain about. Well, you never see people saying, hey, thanks Blizzard for this,
And people might appreciate it, not necessarily giving out the shout-outs. Because, there's a lot of things that I do appreciate about, content creators or video game makers. I don't necessarily say it online.
Well, I'm not saying, that's always the case, right? But in general...
It's just,
But you're not seeing it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there.
Well, here's the thing,
I think it's to generalize that people aren't appreciative, as in, nobody is, I think is incorrect to say.
No, but I think it's gross that, in gaming in general, not even just in games, movies, books, whatever, you typically just see all of this, I'm mad about this right now.
Well, that's
and you rarely see, hey, thanks for that.
well, that's business 101, right? Like, because like most of the people that are satisfied, like most of your satisfied customers, will never say anything.
Yeah.
It's the people who are dissatisfied who are going to be the loudest about it.
And I hate that. I've taken to Twitter, I've taken to Instagram, and personally thank developers. You know.
And like, I think
Yeah, and I'm trying to get better
I,
at
I,
about
I,
that.
but here's the thing, though, is like I think that it's gross to talk about how much how much someone hates seeing developers be exploited by this or that business practice, while also not taking the time to show, hey, like I appreciate all that work that you put in for this product. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who go out there and say, hey, thanks for making this great game.
Sure.
I'm sure that there are plenty of people who do that. But the fact of the matter is, again, most of the people who are vocal about a product are going to be the ones who complain about it, and I think that's just people in general. I just think that's how people are, and so I think that there is definitely something to that, because you build up all this goodwill, especially for somebody who is as receptive to feedback as Blizzard has been. And I think that this entire conversation is evidence of that, right? Like they've been like super receptive to feedback and like worked really hard to build up like goodwill over like a couple of decades. But like, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about like this one shitty thing that they did.
Yeah, but like even think of like even the small shit, right? People didn't like the fact that they were changing the name from BattleNet to something else.
What was it?
People bitched about that, so they're like, okay, you really love BattleNet that much, we'll leave it BattleNet.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I remember when BattleNet was implemented.
Yeah.
People bitched about that.
Exactly, and like I'm not trying to say that Blizzard is the best company out there. Let's all remember that Blizzard is Activision, right? But like, and I'm not a huge Blizzard fan.
And by extension, also Vivendi.
I've played very few Blizzard games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like
Blackthorn,
you can't just bitch and bitch and bitch about everything and like not see the other side of it. It's just,
it's. Well, I mean, also people just don't like change as well.
Well,
sure.
I think a lot of the times when we have opinions about how this shit works, we take what we know, like which is as much information as one can get without actually being in it. But I also think that we lack the perspective of what it's like being on the other side of that stuff, and like it's the entire business of video games seems really hard. Like making them, marketing them, it just all of that seems just really, really hard.
Conferences, setting those up, and also the content they provide there.
Yeah, and I think that
especially when you're someone as big as Blizzard, right?
Yeah, and I think that it's really easy for us to, and I'm not saying that I don't do this, because I do it constantly, and I wish I didn't, but like it's really easy for us to say, hey, like they did this and this wrong, and when I think that they should have done this and this, but there's probably a reason why they didn't do those things that I think they should have done, or maybe that there's no reason, but like at the same time I think that like I've talked about me and Tom have talked about what it would be like if we were to run a fucking conference, and it would just
it'd be a fucking shit show.
It would be awful, because we'd Fallout 5 is available today.
Right now. Yeah, not even in development yet.
And I think it's really easy to make mistakes where that sort of thing is, especially when you have a group of people who like you have there's a lot of times where you can have a pretty good idea of how people will react to something, but you can never really know. Like I'm pretty sure they had an idea in their head of how people would react to Diablo Immortal,
and that was not it.
And it just people can turn on you like in a minute.
We've talked about on this show before. It's been a while, but we've talked about on the show before that like if you think about the Activisions or the Ubisofts or the EAs of the world versus something like a Double Fine, right? Fiduciary duty is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like they may not have wanted to do Diablo Immortal.
Right.
But because is what is in the best interest of their shareholders, they may have had to do Diablo Immortal. People don't realize that. I get it. Like, who knows business law, right? Not a lot of people.
And it's
But
also
like,
not like they could really like go out and say that if that is the case.
right, exactly.
And their hands are on that.
I mean, that's why, with all of these big companies that have like heavy investors, you're going to continue to see DLC and paywalls and all this other stuff and mobile games, right? Because it is within the best interest of their investors. It is what can potentially make them the most money, and by law, they are required to do the thing that will make their investors the most money. You know,
And like the only say they have in it is how good that game ultimately turns out to be.
right?
While also operating within the constraints of those requirements. But these aren't things that like we're under no obligation to know about these things. But I think it would, be decent of us to try to kind of get some more of that perspective.
But that's the other great thing.
But it also comes down to transparency, which is something that like has been talked about a lot, especially the last like say 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And people really knowing to ask for it and want to, because like people do eventually, not necessarily in video games, but in like kind of all business practices or like in politics or whatever, because people are becoming more educated about things. But when you grasp a little bit of knowledge, you start realizing all these other things you don't know.
Right. I don't know. What's funny is like we always talk about how like we exist in a space that is a sliver of the pie, right?
Yeah.
People that talk about games in the way that we do and keep up on what's going on in the industry in the way that we do are a sliver of the pie, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned Diablo Immortal and 2 friends that I played Diablo 3 with, who don't keep up with this stuff. They just like to play video games. So they go buy the video games they think they're going to like, and that's it.
And it doesn't usually go any further than
I
that.
told them about Diablo Immortal, and they're both pretty psyched about it,
Yeah.
which is the majority of the people that are going to play this game.
Yeah.
I mean, but granted that not necessarily those kind of people are also not the ones going to Blizzcon and booing, which they should not do.
Sure, but like those kind of people are who are paying the bills. That's just keeping the lights on, right? Like those people are the reason that there is a BlizzCon.
Yeah, but the irony of that entire thing is that they're going to consume the product anyway.
Right. Yeah. Most of them are.
So like, why? Like why spew any kind of vitriol when you see it and like maybe you're legitimately like upset about it. Maybe you're just getting swept up in the fervor, right? But
maybe you like those spicy beans.
Well, what I really like is the clip of the one dude asking the devs like, "Are you serious?" Like, about Diablo Immortal, and like everyone is just tearing into that asshole.
Well, again, making video games is fucking hard.
Yeah. Like even if you don't like it, don't be a fucking dick about it.
Yeah, and like also there's still more Diablo out there for you. Like Diablo 3 is still there, and you could play that until like you get that proper Diablo 4 that you want.
Yeah, and there's other games in the genre, right? Like the new Torchlight looks amazing.
Looks pretty good. I don't know. I think that on one hand, I think that people, like as you said, Tom, like there's the people who are upset are the people who are keeping the lights on over at Blizzard, right? But like, and I think that there is a level of entitlement that comes along with, I'm paying you guys for your product, so you better make something that I like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that first and foremost, they're just trying to make video games, and of course it's always in the best interest that you like those video games so that you buy more of those video games. But like, I have yet to play a Blizzard game that I wholeheartedly disliked. I've played Blizzard games that weren't for me. Like I'm not an RTS guy, but I acknowledge that Warcraft is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that there are different games for different people, and maybe Diablo Immortal isn't for you. Maybe it's for that other sect of people who play a lot of games on their phone, and they want to be able to play Diablo too because maybe they don't have a console, or maybe they don't have a computer that they play games on.
Sure.
But but most people have smartphones. Well, a lot of people have smartphones.
I think most is probably pretty accurate by now.
And so like, I want to play Diablo also, but I also don't want to go out there and get all this other hardware. that I don't have. And granted, like yes, like to a point, if you are interested in playing video games on a high on a decent enough level, then there's going to be a point where you have to get some additional hardware. I'm sure, right? But at the same time, like you hear people talking about this Diablo, like, let me see what this Diablo is all about. Oh, I have a phone. Let me go ahead and download it. And and if you're not that person, then you're not that person. But I also think that a certain level of empathy goes a long way when we're talking about the people who make these products, because they are people.
Oh, sure.
And I think that there is a tendency to forget about that, and it frustrates me.
I don't want to dismiss the fact that like what Shanae said is correct though, right? Like that's not a good response.
Sure.
It's not.
But I think that to fixate on that is probably, I think to fixate on that like shows like is kind of not the best idea either.
No, not necessarily, but it definitely creates more outrage and gives people something to focus on as far as like as an example of like why they're mad.
Sure, but
like I'm also going to counterpoint to like, oh, the first like their first priority is making video games. It's not, and as Tom said, it's making money.
Well, as a corporation, yes, but as an individual, on the individual level, right? The guy who's fucking building the fucking polygons and mapping textures and all of that, on that level, yeah, they want to pay their bills, but you don't get into that industry, the fucking tedious amounts of work.
But he's also not the guy making the decision to make that game.
Sure, there is no one guy making that decision.
No, not the one, but the people that are in charge of that decision. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say that a good portion of them that making video games isn't necessarily their number one goal. It's making money.
I think the people who are making that decision also don't make video games.
Well, right, you're absolutely right about that. But also the fact like when we talk about fiduciary duty, like they have to, right? Whether they want to or not, that has to be their goal. Like it's a legal obligation at that level of business.
But like with that point, I mean, there's it is very much a turn off when that becomes blatantly obvious. Like that's
then go play nothing but indie games.
Yeah.
Because any AAA developer, that by law is their goal.
Like whether it's a developer that you're really into or a developer that you couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
Either way, they have shareholders if you're on a high enough level, you got shareholders to answer to.
Right.
And sometimes the shareholders' goals align with your own, but there are going to be times when they don't.
Yeah, but some people don't want to. They're content and happy to think that is all of their goals, and that's all they want is to make video games and not make money. And when it becomes obvious, like obviously the people are going to be upset because they feel like that because they have forgotten that.
I don't disagree, but I think on a personal developer-to-developer level, I'm talking about the person, not the team.
Yeah.
That is very rarely the case because if your intent as a creator is to make money, you'd be doing a different job that paid you more for doing less work.
I think that I think that honestly, like Tom said, I don't think that there's a lot of people who are in that profession for the money. Like, yes, they want to get paid for doing that work, but at the same time, like when I look at like even from like a pedestrian standpoint, when I look at the level of shit that they have to go through, that money is not worth it.
Well, and time again, we see developers like Jonathan Blow, right? He could have retired after Braid.
Yeah.
But he took all of that money and made a new game with it. Like he didn't ever have to work again. He was set.
Yeah.
But
you could just cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's crazy, especially when we get into like the Red Dead stuff and all that and crunch and all that shit. But like, yeah, obviously they want to pay their bills, but obviously they're doing it because they want to.
Yeah, because you could get another job and pay your bills.
Right.
But
that doesn't require that much work.
Yeah, but like these are people. Like I have to believe that people go into video game development because they love video games and they are at least enamored by the idea of making them.
And the games that that are obviously there just for money and have been created just for money, you could spot them a mile away.
Yeah.
Any gotcha game on your phone, yeah, they probably weren't doing it for the fucking art, but like you could spot those, right? Like it's not hard to tell. all the Fortnite clones that came out within a month after that Battle Royale took off. Like, you can tell just by looking at those games.
Because
that's what
all
that
things
is.
that like take
Right.
stuff from PUBG and
Yeah.
all of that. And but I agree on the developer. I was just saying, like, as for the people making the decision on it, like, yes.
Right.
But I don't know. But I do think it's interesting why people are saying they're mad. Like,
Well, I think that also if our largest complaint is how they reacted to a comment made, as opposed to our largest complaint being about the game itself, then it's probably not that bad.
Well, I do think it's an interesting discussion to be had. I do think, like, you know, yeah, a lot of people are mad about the game.
Yeah.
A lot of people are mad about the game. If you look at the dislikes on that video, it's crazy, right?
oh,
There's a
they
lot.
have to keep taking the videos
But
down
what- but what I
and
am
putting it back up
saying-
to get the ratios back.
What I am saying
It's kinda
is
fucked
those
up.
people are wrong.
Yeah.
All of those people, and they are millions, are wrong. You know, in my opinion, it is wrong to be pissed about something you know nothing about.
Because,
You know?
well, because,
Like,
you have these people who are like I've been playing Diablo, and here's the thing too, man. Those people who, like, when Diablo 3 was announced, right? When they started showing a video for Diablo 3,
Mhm.
and you had all those people who were like diehard Diablo 2 fans, and they were like, that shit's too colorful, it's too bright, and all that stuff. Like, but this is before they even played the game,
right.
and they had all those complaints about it. Now Diablo 3 is huge, right?
It was huge at launch. It was
Yeah,
huge.
and so Diablo 3 is huge, and now now our expectations are more of that and not so much this, and they have these expectations that get built up because there's so much of what they're used to. And like, dude, how long has Diablo 3 been out? 2013?
I don't know.
2013, Diablo 3 comes out. Like, you've been playing that game for 5 years, right? And if you just want more and more of the same, and then like you haven't played this new game and you're already pissed off about it, like, where does that come from?
Well, it's like people complained about Diablo 3 when it came out, and they're like, oh, I wish it was more like Diablo 2. That same week, the team that made Diablo 2 made Torchlight 2,
Yeah.
put out Torchlight 2, and
Yeah.
nobody bought that.
So,
You know?
like, what is it that and so it gets down to the point where it's like, what is it that people want? And
To complain.
and it's like, on one hand, you think like it's easy to like envision, like, well, they like this thing, so we're gonna make a thing that's kind of like that thing, and see how people like it, and then they just don't,
Yeah.
and it just seems so, it's like
But, I mean,
like the more I think about it, the more like abstract it starts to seem to me.
I think that there is something to be said, like, and you can call it entitlement or whatever, but I was trying to figure out, like, necessarily where some of the outrage is coming from.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said that it's not. I don't think that those people are necessarily wrong to want the new Diablo Immortal to be on PC. Like, when you've always been a PC player and most of the content they've put out is for PC, and then all of a sudden it's not. Like, you can think that sucks. Like,
But
I
there
don't.
will be a new Diablo PC game sooner than later. You know, that is still happening.
You know,
I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I'm just saying,
And
like,
it doesn't justify going online and fucking bad-mouthing people and threatening people because you didn't get what you wanted. Boo fucking
no,
boo,
it doesn't.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that, but I said to think that it sucks.
Yeah,
To think that it sucks is not to boo people. Is not to send death
But you're
threats.
thinking that it sucks without knowing anything about it.
That it's not going to be on PC and it's going to be a mobile game. Just knowing those facts, like, I don't think that's wrong to think that sucks. I think it's wrong to be an asshole about it. I think it's wrong to be an asshole.
And I
but I
think-
don't think it's wrong necessarily to think that it sucks.
I don't think that it's ever wrong to have an opinion about anything unless like that opinion is inherently harmful or toxic. But at the same time, if you tell me why, if you were to tell me and I would be inclined to entertain that if they could tell me why they thought that sucked.
Well, yeah, and you see a lot of dumb assumptions, right? Which may all be true.
Yeah,
We don't know,
Nobody
right?
knows.
Oh, it's going to be riddled with microtransactions
We don't know
and
that.
all this. No, they've never said that. They've never shown anything to indicate that
It
yet.
could be a $10 app.
Will there probably be microtransactions? Yeah, there
Probably.
probably will, but you don't know that yet, you know?
And nor do we know what the nature of the microtransactions would be.
Yeah, and we also, what we do know is that this is a very different Diablo game. This is the first time that Blizzard is dubbing it an MMORPG,
Yeah.
right? That's never happened in Diablo before, so we don't know what this game's going to be yet.
Yeah. because I don't know.
What I do know is that those screenshots look great. The video that they show looks great, and like, will it suck? Maybe. I probably won't like it. I probably won't. You know, because I'm very picky about the games I play on mobile. But I'll give it a shot, and I certainly won't badmouth them. You know.
Yeah, I would never send anyone death threats, and unless something is
You should never threaten anyone.
Yeah, unless
Well, sometimes.
unless
Sure.
something is like easily changeable, I just don't see myself sending anything like to any developer or creator or whatever to just be oh, I really fucking hate this. Because, like, as you said, some things aren't for you, and I do chalk a lot of that up to it. And I'm just saying, on a personal level, I don't, just put this out there, I don't give a shit about Diablo Immortal. Will I play it? Well, yes.
Yeah.
I play a lot of shitty phone games.
I don't play that game on the potty.
I play a lot of shitty phone games. I am an avid admitter that I like shitty phone games, and I don't. There's some that I do pay microtransactions to, like Pokemon Go.
Microtransactions.
Microtransactions. Microtransactions. But I do think it's just super. I think it's super interesting that. I mean, I wish it was people weren't being assholes, but I do think it's interesting justifications in people's mind for being assholes.
Yeah.
And I think the discussion that I'm seeing, which is on Reddit, and the subreddits I go to, if I went to other ones, I'd probably see more toxic things like Tom's seeing on Twitter.
Yeah.
The things that I'm seeing in the subreddits that I go to, it is more of discussions.
Yeah.
Like, what do they think it's going to be like? Like, it is like a what if.
And that's good.
And
that's good.
And like I think that like, you know, or it's like people posting, like I said, some memes about people what people said during the conference, and just, you know, doing what the internet does, just turning everything into a joke. And people be like, I'm out of the loop. What happened? And then some person's like, Blizzard fucked us over, and this person's like, no, they didn't. They like this is, and then discussing that. And, you know, it is, and some people just, like, wanting to know what's going on, and some people being assholes, and a lot of, and what I'm seeing, which I know is not the majority, is people not being assholes, just discussing it.
But my whole thing is, like, if you're watching this and you are truly upset or truly bothered by anything that they announced, know that Blizzard has shown time and time and time again that they are willing to bend to what their fans want. You know?
And I guess that's kind of my biggest sticking point, because for as much as they do that, you know, and they announce a product, and then for people to like act like it's like some kind of personal betrayal, is just like the most absurd thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
But like that's how people are always going to act, no matter what game it is, no matter who made it.
Not even just games, you know.
It's just
the Ghostbusters are girls. Like, come on, man, chill the fuck out with that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, being upset with the girls is not a fair complaint.
But that was the biggest complaint.
Yeah, not liking writing,
You know?
writing or
I'm
whatever
saying,
is or whoever is a different one. But you're right, that is a shitty complaint.
I'm just saying, you see it in everything: game development,
I
movies, books, music. Like, it's everywhere.
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting, like, kind of just discussion of people having those reactions.
Yeah. Well, and
I want to see what you guys thought.
I think it's ridiculous.
I think most people are ridiculous, and I think that every time anybody announces anything, be it at BlizzCon, E3, QuakeCon, whatever, anytime anybody announces anything, there's somebody out there who is like, "This is bullshit," or "Why didn't they do this thing that I wanted them to do?" And everybody's got all these criticisms, and the whole thing is like, okay, then how would you do it better then? What game would you make?
And I think it's also just people wanting to have something to say, because I see that a lot with just like books specifically.
Yeah.
In like the subreddits and like forums and things I go to try and find like random books that I end up reading, and there's like basically no major discussion about it, so I have to like search for it and stuff. A lot of it is either someone hasn't read it or like someone just liked it, and although like, oh, I like the direction they went, I like what they did, and it's really hard to like add like, oh yeah, I like that too, and I like this, and then it's kind of done with that. And then if people like come up with some sort of nitpick, then it tends to like garner more conversation around it.
Yeah. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, right? Everybody in our Discord is all about Castlevania Season 2, right?
Yeah.
And I've got complaints about it.
Yeah.
I've vocalized I do like it, but there are things I don't like about it.
And then,
like, I'm fine with that.
And
But,
yeah, like
I'm not being a dick while I'm saying it, you know? Like,
Well,
I don't know.
when we talked about it before the Discord did, and you said like you didn't like what the things that you didn't like about it. I was just like, oh, well, I haven't played the games, so
Right.
I don't know what the true lore is. I don't know what this, and from this point, and you're like and you're talking about the writing and stuff like that, and I was like, and I disagreed with you, and then that was it. Like we just
Right.
talked about what we disagreed
And I
about, and it
also
was
bet that most
fine.
people who watch that show haven't played the games.
I was not even talking about anything having to do with that. I just think the writing is poor.
Yeah.
You know, they
And-
say things that people would not have said
Well,
in that time.
and let me-
And that's a lot of anime and
Yeah.
like and stuff like that,
No,
especially like things are translated. Not
Sure.
that Castlevania is.
But this is the Western thing, yeah.
And I want to be clear. I don't have problems with. I don't take umbrage with anybody who has valid criticisms of something.
Right.
Like even if they don't agree with me, I think that people. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is uninformed opinions.
Yeah. Which is almost everybody that complained about Diablo Immortal.
Yeah. And you know, like, there are plenty of things that I like that other people don't like. But at the same time, it's just like that's just how things work. But at the same time, the things that I like are things that I have actually, you know, either consumed or tried or whatever. So they're out there for people to have actually experienced them.
There's things I like the idea of. Like having lots of money. I haven't done that yet.
I mean,
would
look,
like that.
it goes both ways, right? Like we talk about people not liking Diablo Immortal, knowing nothing about it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are games that I like that I know nothing about,
Yeah.
right? They're not out yet. There's no footage of them yet. There are games I like that I know nothing about because of pedigree or whatever, right? Because of history. That being said, like, I'll be the first one that if that game comes out and it fucking sucks to tell you about it, you know?
Number one example that we love to bring up, Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, Bound by Flame. We were both into that game before,
Yeah,
it came out.
Man, I found Bound by Flame on Tumblr, and I was like, man, this game was badass.
And you know what? Are we mean about it? Do we bitch about it? Yeah, we do. But guess what? That's informed. We are informed about that game in doing so.
Also, I would never threaten that developer with violence, no matter how much their game fucking sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's total garbage.
So I guess kind of.
Bound by Flame is total garbage.
Yeah.
So.
I guess kind of like though it does make me feel better because like I've talked about things I want to do with Kingdom Hearts and like the series on that, and how I've been reaching out to like YouTube creators and content creators on that, and like on like Twitter or whatever, and just like DMing them and be like, hey, I know you haven't. You did this.
Slide into the DMs.
Yeah, I slide those DMs and compliment their content.
I knew you were a creep.
Slide into them, tell them that I like what they put out, even if it's a couple years old and they're not doing that shit anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it definitely like reinforces that I.
Sinead, I imagine you'd be the
actually
first
do
person to
more.
threaten someone if they announce Kingdom Hearts with no Goofy in it.
This is my Kingdom Hearts. I feel like there has been Kingdom Hearts without Goofy.
Probably. There's gotta have been at least one.
That's yucked up.
Because it's
Get it?
not.
I get it, because he says yuck.
Unless it's in a cutscene that I can't remember. I don't think it's in Birth by Sleep.
Birth by Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be a Kingdom Hearts game where you play as Pete. He's like the Bowser of Kingdom Hearts, right?
No. He's not even. No, he's not. He's only really important in 2. That's it. He's only kind of important.
It's just, I get
I
that.
think Maleficent's more of like more important than him.
I feel myself a lot of the time getting worked up by conversations like this. I think about all the times when people, regardless of how the game turned out, people work really hard on something, and then you have people who are like threatening them and just saying the meanest shit to them, and like I couldn't like I was telling Tom yesterday about RPG Maker. I do not have the mind for that, and I look at that and I'm like, this shit looks fucking hard. Like, I've never tried to balance a game.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about setting up levels
Right.
or environments or anything. And if I played an RPG Maker game and I hated it, I would never contact the person who put that thing together and be like, you better sleep with one eye open tonight, because like, this was not good.
You know I carry, right?
I fully intend to make a game on that, right? And like, it will probably be bad. It will probably not be fun to play.
Games are hard. Games are hard to make,
But,
regardless of the tool set that you're given.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that we should take more of that shit into consideration before we criticize people when they announce the thing that they worked on and haven't played.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But be pissed off about it if you want, you babies.
I'm gonna have a press conference for my game.
Sure. And it's available right now.
2 years
Shadow
later.
You should do. You should announce it with a splash screen and nothing else,
Yeah.
and then release it 6 years later.
So I guess takeaway thoughts. We've already summed it all up. Be more positive. Send more love to people. Be more positive voices. Tweet out
Criticize things all you want, but make sure your criticisms are valid and actually based on fact.
Also, don't
Yeah.
send death threats.
It's okay to say that Borderlands is terrible if you've played it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that I disagree.
Um,
As long as like you're not an asshole.
yeah. And also, if you're doing an interview for your game, don't ask people if they have phones because they don't like that.
Not unless you're trying to create memes.
That's really offensive.
Unless like you
Dude,
want.
they're lucky I wasn't holding that conference though, because if that fucking guy was like, "Are you serious?" Blah, 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 like I would have had him thrown out.
I would have stopped the conference
Yeah.
and be like, hold on, I'm sorry, excuse me?
Yeah, get this fucker out of here.
Yeah, get him out. Get him out. I'm trying to do a fucking conference.
Let that be a
here.
lesson to the rest of you.
Yeah. Now shut up.
And play the game.
Play what I tell you to play.
Well, it's just one more thing. It's just Blizzard, like there are a few companies like this, and Blizzard is one of them, where they will put out something and people will fucking buy it every time.
Yep.
And like, and if you're gonna front like that isn't true, then like you're wrong because people are going to buy this game. Even the people who are like, "What the fuck? It's a phone game," and they're gonna be, "God damn it, let me sign into my Google Play," because they're going to get it without actually getting it. It's like.
Alright.
Anyway, guys, thank you once again for being here for the Save Continue podcast. We will be back next week with more talk about video games and other shit. My name's Ryan Robinson. That's Shanae Howard. That's Tom Shelby.
Goodbye.
Bye. Go ahead and click that for us.